Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to your Musical program on UNC USA. I have with me here Marissa out of the Community Response Deployment Team, TT, and Mr. Suman Singh, our Technical Analysis, and Mr. Ken Dalchan, our Civil Engineer, with us, and others will join us during the program as soon as they get a chance. So we continue the discussion on flood mitigation and community response here. I'm going to put our civil engineer on the line here now. Ken, let's continue this conversation. You send me some photos here. I'm going to display it, and then you can continue discussion on this.
Sure.
I think this one is from Marvel. Let me play this. So, this area is very familiar to most of us. With what's happening there, and as far as I see here, Ken, these are very easy fix. In mitigating. Ken, I'm going to let you take the lead on this for a
Yeah.
second.
Before
So
Ken starts, can I ask a question there?
go ahead. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Let's start it like this. Now you see the water is on the roadway, right? And from either sides of the road, the water is encroaching now. What happens when there's persistent rainfall? That water level is rising. There's a high tide. The gates or the sluice gates you have, the water basically balances. It cannot flow out towards the ocean side, the salt water side, because the tide is high. What happens in a case like that?
Tamad, what you just described is a worst case scenario, right? And I will stick with the Caroni River Basin.
All
I
right.
hosted a simulation, a flood simulation, right, of the Caroni Basin with its tributaries and the main conveyance, which is the Caroni River,
Mm-hmm.
because all of those tributaries or secondary rivers like the Arima River, the Turnapuna River, the St. Joseph River, all of those flows towards the Caroni, right? And oops, what I did here. Sorry. And this is a risk map here. It captures the risk associated with a 1% storm or a 100-year storm, right? Or the frequency or the probability of 1 in 100 of that happening, that storm happening at any given year. And so it's called a low frequency storm or 100-year storm or
Mm-hmm.
1% storm, so to speak. Now, those are major, major storms. And I want to believe that in 2018, we experienced something close to a 100-year storm there. But we haven't gotten data, rainfall data, to really confirm that. But the amount of rain there that fell over that river basin, and the devastation and the height of water that we saw there in some places, I want to certainly put that up there as a low frequency storm, maybe even close to 100 year. So, Samad, you asked the question about the high tide, right?
Yes.
And let me just ask Gary. Gary, you want to post you want to put up the next photo?
Okay,
And
stand by. Okay, let's keep continue. I'll load it.
Yeah.
and the reason I'm asking that, Ken, in 2018, I was home in Trinidad for a couple of months, and I saw the devastation, and I went to the sluice gates, and I realized the water that on that side was higher than the actual flood waters on the other side. So, in that case, if the sluice gates were to open, what happens? Salt water will be coming backwards towards the lagoon area, uh,
Right.
towards the flood waters. So the flood water cannot flow out. The flood water is being backed up, and the
Yeah.
salt water is coming over. Once the gates are open, the flood water is coming towards or across the flooded water side. So I am asking that question to see what solution, or if there is anything you have proprietary that can arrest that situation. Now I know every 12 hours their tides go up and down, actually every 24 hours. So what happens sometimes, there are spring tides, which means that there's, either lowest of the low or highest of the high tides and so on. And all these can be impactful. It may not happen in the dry season, even though it's springtime, but definitely in the neap times in September when they have what we know in Florida as the king tide. Are you be
Yeah.
aware of those in Florida?
Definitely. Definitely. Yes.
So
Correct.
against that backdrop, I'm asking the question: if we have solutions to these things, or how best we can arrest the situation, or give farmers and households the assurance that say, hey, you know what, within 36 hours, this water is going to be subsided, and, or things like
So,
to that effect, because we need to have data, because, being in the data analytics, I can tell you without data, you cannot plan properly, because we all have solutions in our mind. This needs to be done, that needs to be done, and so forth. But with real data, you can make a good, predictive analysis that we can arrest this thing rather than just jumping on
Suman,
hearsay,
Suman,
hearsay.
the what we need is a man like Ken, right, to give us a good estimate of the design that we need to apply to the various
yeah.
location,
Yeah.
right?
Um.
Everything will have to be customized and scaled according to the
Correct,
particular location.
correct.
So, I
Scaling is the
mean,
word.
Yeah.
we don't have to
Yeah.
do too much
Yeah.
scientific research to understand that. Based on an engineer like Ken's experience, we could go to a job site, a location, and by the look of that area, we do the soil testing, to know what kind of soil we're dealing with, and then we figure out how to deal with the embankment
Right.
and
And
things like that.
Gary.
Most, you know.
Yeah. And Gary, the picture that I posted there was the one with the 1% flood depth, which is the one with the blue. It's shaded blue along the Caroni River basin there. Right,
Mhm.
this is it. This is it.
That's right. Yeah.
So, Samar, I wanted to answer your question with this backdrop here, or this representation of the Caroni River basin, which shows the flood water or the flood depth, right? Now, we are supposed to be modeling a 100-year storm here, or 1% storm,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
um, when you look at that, the blue, right? That is basically areas that are submerged. And the floodplain in some areas along the Caroni, from the center line of the Caroni, extend miles, right, in either direction. So again, and that's your 100-year floodplain. Eh? I want to be very specific with that.
Mhm.
Now we have a design, approach. We
Yeah,
would
but Kevin,
store
what
the
I'm saying to you, looking at something like this, right? For instance, and we get the topographic map, right? And we could calculate elevations and how much where you need to
correct.
dredge and all these things and
Well,
the water gate, the water dam, the water storage. I mean, when you fly this
right,
drone over the County River, for instance, and we deal
yeah,
with that river, you will see exactly where we can allocate the retention and then you
yeah,
will estimate how deep and I mean how much land space we have in a particular area.
correct. And
Like Alvin was telling us about a certain area when he was on the program, which is that is one point, and then we mark that point, and then
yeah,
we go up the river with the drone, and then you compare it with the topographic drawing and get all the elevations, and you know what we're dealing with.
right. So what we have to do, Gary, we'll have to develop hydrographs, and we will now the hydrographs are like a bell curve, a bell shape, and if it's very steep, we have to flatten it out, right? So we have to attenuate that hydrograph, and that's based on data for each
Mhm.
one of these individual areas or the rivers. And we will determine the storage capacity, how many cubic feet of water we need to store there. So we have to do some calculations based on the type of storm, right? And determine the size of the storage capacity. Now, the design approach would be in any, I mean, the Army Corps of Engineers or the Dutch will tell you this. We store the 25-year storm, and we try to design conveyance to convey the 100-year storm. Because a 100-year storm that we're looking at here right now, right, of the Caroni River Basin that's modeled here, you cannot store this. We don't have space to store this, Gary. This here is a different conversation where we have to talk about community response to actually save lives, right? You will see people on their roofs, right? Waiting for help, stranded, because you have 6, 7 feet of water at ground elevation, right? Submerging every single thing. So there's two different types. There are many types of storms here that we could talk about. But basically, what we are looking at and what you're alluding to is storing the 25-year. Now we have to be very, very careful and be able to distinguish and let people know that we cannot store a 100-year storm, and that is going to create a lot of devastation. However, I'm not going to boast and brag here, but one of the worst case scenarios there is bamboo number three. And in 2018, there was no flooding in bamboo number three, right? I mean, there was business as usual when the entire place was shut down around the Caroni River. You know, from Greenvale to El Carmen to all these places, to Madras, Kelly. You know, these places were thrown into a state of chaos.
Right,
So,
and a lot of this flooding was caused by negligence and improper infrastructure in the
right.
first place.
So,
Some things that we was very treatable,
yeah,
right?
and
And
I'm
so
coming to
could
that now.
imagine we get a 25-year storm or a 100-year storm. What we going to do at that point if we am handling the basics?
Right, and I'm coming to that now. So, let us talk about the 25-year storm. What my approach would be is I'll adopt the bamboo approach. It has been proven tested because 2018 bamboo was business as usual. It was dry. There was minimal impact in bamboo number three there, right?
Mhm.
Um, However, we did have a problem I think it was right after that, where the sour Laventil River overtopped and it flowed into bamboo number three, and it caused bamboo number three to flood. There was another incident where the bank in bamboo number three was breached in three places, causing the entire lower bamboo to be submerged. So we have to be very, very careful when we discuss this thing and distinguish it properly. But I would want to use the bamboo number three model to
Mhm.
fortify some of these communities there, like bamboo number two, bamboo number one, Valsain South, and Real Springs, and
Mhm.
other areas along. the Caroni River where these tributaries outfalls. What we need to do is to prevent that backflow, right? When that
Right.
Caroni is flowing at peak, right, or is about to overtop, and the tributaries in these low-lying areas that are flowing out, falling into the Caroni, what's going to happen is that you would have a backflow effect, right? Where the water from the Caroni, right, there'll be a hydraulic gradient, and you know, water. I want to be very simple here. Water flows tries to level off, so it's trying to flow from high to low, right? So you'll have that water backflowing into your residential communities, and you have riverine flooding there, right? So what we have a system to stop that. We have designs to stop that and address that, right? Now there's also the localized flooding within the residential community, which we have to address. And how we address that, we size our storage within the local communities, right? And then we apply a lift pump. We size a lift pump to handle the capacity, maybe 1,000 gallons a minute or 2,000 gallons a minute, right?
Mhm,
To draw down that water,
mhm,
because we have to have a management system in place where we stop the backflow and then we deal with what's inside the catchment, right? The
mhm.
localized flooding, right? We try to reduce that. Now, the Caroni River is tidally influenced. And when you have a high tide, Suman, and I come into your question, you would have that. I mean, you would have that reverse flow. I've seen it in the Caroni system, right? In
Mhm.
Caroni River, where all of a sudden the water is flowing towards the
The opposite,
west, and then the
opposite,
flow turns. You see,
the,
the flow turns at the opposite, and
the
I say,
opposite,
hold on a second. There's
correct.
a high tide. There's a high tide pushing in here. So
The-
that Caroni River is tidally influenced, and that is a big problem whenever we have these major rainstorms, and you have that flood wave coming down around mid basin, and it coincides with that high tide. What's going to happen is the perfect condition for overtopping of those banks
Correct.
because it can't handle that rising level, right? Because you have a high tide pushing upstream and you have a flood wave pushing downstream. And when they clash, then nothing is going anywhere and starts to rise, right?
Yeah.
And that will create a lot of problem there. This is why I um I always talk about in this Caroni River Basin, mid basin, right? There's the upper basin, mid basin, lower basin. But that
Mhm.
mid basin down there is very, very critical, and the areas, the communities around there is what we have to safeguard. We have to implement these designs to safeguard and to fortify these communities, right? To
All
prevent
right.
that riverine
Yeah.
flooding or
Yeah.
backflowing into these communities. And then we have to deal with what's being generated inside the community with a lift pump with ample storage. And
Right.
once we do that with, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was thinking this has to be very well coordinated, like bamboo number three has to be linked to bamboo number two, bamboo number one, real spring, pulsing south, and so on. Because it has to be in an integrated approach. One by itself will, is a
Yes, correct. Absolutely.
stopgap
Absolutely.
measure. Is a
We
stopgap
have
measure. Yeah.
absolutely, Samaj, you hit the nail on the head there. We cannot have one place that's dry that has the same elevation and
Hydrological. Yeah.
geography and hydrological layout and stuff, right? And then the other place right next to it, bounding it just over the river, right?
Mhm.
On the same side of the river bank there is flooding,
Massive
right?
blood. Yes. Correct.
So what is happening, what is working for bamboo number three has already been proven tested and should
Right?
be adopted throughout that entire river basin there, right? So again, you make a very good point there. And it has to be driven by the data.
Look at the
You know,
screen, gentlemen.
yeah, this is a dam, a spillway.
Right, Ken?
Yes. So
So,
yeah, so we could build check dams upstream, right? And we have to, Gary, we have to do it because
Have
you know
to.
why? That is part of the attenuation of that hydrograph.
I see
Mhm.
Rajan trying to join. Rajan, you hearing us? Okay, go ahead.
So also we have a problem with the Caroni River with the silt load, right? Now when we have that rainstorm over the higher part of
Northern range.
the drainage basin, that grade will increase the velocity of that water, and that velocity will start to erode and cut and move the soil. Hence, we have all of that silt being deposited in the low-lying part of the Caroni River. or,
Mhm.
and we always playing catch up and trying to desilt and desilt and desilt. So what we're talking about, Gary, with installing check dams in the higher elevations within the river and widen it, right, in different areas, that's feasible. That will help a lot with reducing the flood wave and also with addressing the silt problem. So yeah, um, now that is the long-term approach there. Right now, I want to focus on these communities,
Right.
right? And it
Correct.
works hand in hand with the group that Marissa has, because when we have a major storm and the fire department or the EMT or the army and rescue personnel, members of the ODPM cannot get in there
All
within the
right.
first 24 hours because they're
Mhm.
waiting on a boat, or they don't have a boat available because the vehicles can't go through 6 feet of water. Very,
This and then
rare.
again, Ken. This is where we need some causeway style roads built because in some very known areas where we need to lift the roads above certain level in order to create access, right? So these are something down the road that we want to recommend. Go ahead.
I would want to lift the Uriah Butler Highway. Some in some places it's very low lying and susceptible to flooding, right? And that occurred in 2018 also. We had about 2 feet of water sheet flowing
Mhm.
across the around the bird sanctuary down there, coming back, way about for about 2 miles, right? So yeah, we'll have to address that also and say, hey, this road has to be built or raised above the 100-year storm, and the proper culvert crossings should be sized properly, right?
Mhm.
For that type of flow velocity. So there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts here that we have to look at. But I want to come back and focus on the communities, because when I did this project in Bamboo Number Three, right, I saw firsthand this human suffering and the impact there. And this
Social
is why I
impact.
was so motivated to ensure that these designs work and perform and solve the problem, which was the backflow from the St. Joseph River, and then the pump, which was being constricted because of a 2D trash rack, right? Where the garbage would just come and stick on that 2D trash rack. And we saw similar happen in Port of Spain around the lighthouse there. And I think I posted a video to that effect, where a
Can
2D trash,
yes. Can let's take up in there. What
yeah,
happens? When these pumps get clogged up, do we need like a sump pump or something, a container, something to
the
contain
pumps
clear water? Yeah.
the pump should not get clogged if we prevent the garbage from getting into the sump or the wet well, right?
So there has
And
to
that
be a
was,
system to trap
yes,
the
and
garbage
we
away from the suction area.
correct. And that is what I did, exactly what I did in Babu Number Three. I developed an industrial design, which again is
Mm-hmm.
protected by the Intellectual Property Office. And I was contacted by the Drainage Division, and I presented the solution, and they said, okay, this is very viable. I did some testing, and
Right.
this was developed to address that problem. Garbage in the watercourse, it's a big problem, and it's even a bigger problem when you have a lift pump and that garbage is creating a constriction, and the,
Yes.
the 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 runoff cannot get to the lift pump to be to be
To be
lifted out,
pumped out.
and
Yes, correct.
and the whole place is going to flood. You have a pump sitting idle; it is not functioning because the water can't recharge the wet well.
That's right.
So these are the fixes. When we design for an area, we have to look at the climate resilient designs, because the amount of rainfall that we're getting now is, the rainfall intensity is increasing. The amount of
Yep.
garbage load being generated is a lot because everybody's eating out today. This is not like long ago, 30, 40 years ago, where we didn't have, where people were cooking food at home. Now everybody's buying food, and their food comes in styrofoam containers, plastic bottles, with soft drinks, and styrofoam cups and all sorts of stuff. Where does this go? In the garbage. If we're not picking up those garbage, we don't have a good proper pickup, to get the garbage and dispose of those garbage properly. You have the dogs and cats always around. They jump in those garbage bags and bins or whatever, and they'll rip them apart, especially if you put them lying on the side of the
Yes,
road. They'll shred
correct.
them, looking for food scraps. Then what
Mhm.
happens? If it rains next day or the first drench, or even the wind would blow that garbage around, right? And where's it going to go? Straight in the water course. The water course is like a magnet for this. Everything goes into the water course. What happened in bamboo number three is exactly what I'm talking about, what I just described here. The guys with the food stalls, they would put out their garbage. I mean, look, they try to secure it as best as possible, right? And then the dogs and stuff and the cats would get into the garbage and they would just tear up the garbage bags, garbage being dispersed all over the place, styrofoam cups, bottles, all sorts of stuff, and it goes straight into the main drain there. And that
Mhm.
now would flow straight down to the pump, where it will hit a 2D gate. Gary, do you have a picture of the 2D gate that you can put up for a second, please? So the people can see exactly what the problem was. Yeah. I think there's one way we can zoom into that. Right here. So, all right. So we have a gate here that they just put in the cross section of the drain, right? So, what you're not an engineer, but when you have plastics and plastic bags and plastic styrofoam containers coming and hitting against this gate with a water pressure flowing, what's going to happen?
Everything is going to clear. You will shatter that like nothing, man.
Well, not shattered, but if you look at the gate carefully, you're seeing little pieces of plastic stuck on the gate there.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So now picture this thing's plastic stuck all over this gate, right? Sealing the
Nothing,
entire gate off.
yeah, nothing is going through.
Nothing is going to flow. The flow is going to be constricted, right? So this was the problem in bamboo number three. When I fixed the backflow in Northern Avenue, we had now a problem with garbage constriction. And the whole place will be flooding in that area down there along the main road, the main Uriah Bottle Highway there. And
So
you will see
that
a pump sitting idle, and the whole place be in front of the pump, behind that gate there is flooding. Right? If you look at this, Gary, there's another picture where as a close up. Yeah, okay, classic, right there. You see the amount of garbage escaping also, right, and clogging up that little grating around the pump that's supposed to sift any particles there, but there's so much garbage that is overwhelming the entire thing. So this pump would also get sometimes clogged with the amount of garbage. And that is a classic problem that we have to address throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Wherever there's a pump station, we have to put in the right 3D trash rack that has been tested, right? Because of the amount of garbage that we're dealing with. Now, since I built this trash rack in 2014, and this was all done under UNC government, let me just step back here a little bit. The backflow system that I implemented along the St. Joseph River bank, that was done in 2013 by the UNC government. And again, the UNC government contacted me, right, to get a solution for this garbage by the pump here. So it was done in 2013 and 2014. And I have to say, thank the government for inspiring innovation, right? This was very very inspiring, and the intellectual property office came down there. They looked at it and they made a calendar out of it for the 2014 calendar, Ministry of Legal Affairs and so forth. And I give them the permission to do it. But coming back to the designs, what we're dealing with, Sumar, we need innovation. We need to embrace innovative designs. These
mhm.
sluice gates and these metal flap gates, they have limitations, right? Even these 2D gates, these 2D trash gates, these things will create a problem. They will not add to the problem. Sorry, they will not fix the problem. They will add to the problem, right? And again, we saw it happening over and over. Where in Port of Spain, next to the lighthouse there, they installed two 2D trash trap, and this created a constriction, and the entire South Key was flooding when during a low tide. So the water elevation in the ocean was much lower than the water elevation in South Key, all because of two trash racks, which are 2D trash racks, that was constricted by the overwhelming amount of garbage. And the same thing occurred in bamboo and was fixed and resolved with a 3D trash trap, a variation of a 3D trash trap, which I implemented there in 2014
So can
under, under the
if I
UNC
may,
government.
if I may interject again to further explain the point, there are maintenance had to be core. That whenever there is a buildup of this garbage in these areas, that it has to be cleaned ASAP or
Absolutely
taken
correct,
care
Sumant,
of.
and that is a good point. And that is why the structure is not taken away employment from anyone. They say the guy is going to be there cleaning and raking the garbage once the trash is removed to one side of that grating and is held there, right, by the water pressure. The guy who's working there, the operator and whatnot, his job is to now clean out that garbage.
Correct.
But the design is to ensure that the cross section is cleared and flow is continuous. So the wet well is always being recharged and water is being lifted via that lift pump back into the river. And again, it's a very very viable design, very simple. Um, I mean, when you think
Okay.
about
Yeah, yeah. Ken, is there any sort of netting, at varying spots on the water courses where you can trap these or this amount of garbage before it reaches that pump or that pump to pump it over? Is there
yeah,
some netting or something that, as it in
yes,
Canada, you see it in Canada, that, if ever
yeah,
you go to Niagara and you drive across Buffalo and you see how the river, there are like nets along the river that can trap these big trees and what have you.
yeah. What
Ah,
I developed, Sumar, was a system to address the bigger, larger pieces of debris floating down, right, the river.
right, right.
So there's basically the scalable size to my trash trap, right, to address larger objects. This trash trap that I developed for bamboo number three addressed mainly small garbage, small pieces of styrofoam, bottles, etc. I want to call it light garbage. But hey, you
Okay,
know what? With the garbage load coming down there and the volume of garbage, right? From 2014, if we were to continue weighing that garbage, we would have collected in excess of 100 tons of garbage right
wow.
at that point. From 2014 to I would say 2024, 10 years, 100 tons of garbage.
So you can expect a lot more 10 years or 12 years after that, 2014.
Well, I hope not. I hope not. Because we need to focus on recycling. We've been having some conversations with Marissa and a bunch of other people with regards to how could we solve this problem, right? We spoke about recycling tires, all sorts of stuff, but the government has to have that will also to want to buy into to a recycling project, right? Where we address tires, we address the recyclable bottles. We were talking about adding I guess was it a recyclable fee of 25 cents for a bottle, you know. So people could pick up these bottles and drop them off at some center and they
Yes.
could be cut up and recycled. Remember long ago, Suma, when the guys used to be picking up with the crocus bag and the little stick and they're picking up these carrot bottles inside the
Oh,
road
yeah, yeah,
and they would
yeah,
pay
yeah. I
25
remember
cents or
that.
something back in the days for one.
Yeah, yeah,
And that
yeah.
created employment for some people, right? Not to say that that's the kind of employment we want to create, right? But we want to find solutions. There are problems, we have to find solutions, right? And we also have to ensure that everything is sustainable, right? What we're doing, right? And recycling is very, very important. I think we have to definitely look more into recycling and not just talk about it because
Correct.
so much waste is being generated. Look, plastic waste is a huge problem, right? And I often like to tell people that garbage that you see in the water there, that plastic waste, tell yourself you're eating that for dinner tonight because it's coming up the food chain
Yeah.
in the form of microplastics.
Yes, correct.
When those bottles and plastics and plastic containers gets into the water courses, it's broken down mechanically, photo degradation, and the fish and the oysters and all sorts of stuff, which are filter, the oysters are filter feeders, they would ingest this and store it in their fat. What happens? We go out there, a fisherman catches a fish, we buy the fish, and it's on our plate for dinner, right?
Yep, yep.
And it's moving up into the food chain. It's in our water, it's in our drinking water, right? Um, so we need to find effective, viable, cost-effective solutions to address these things. And that will come with a combination of also educating people, trying to change, we're moving from plastic to paper to something that's more user friendly when it comes to recycling, right? Because plastic takes a while to break down in in the environment. This is talking about
100
hundreds of
years,
years.
close to 100 years.
Now let's talk about the impact. Let's talk about the giant garbage patch that's gyrating around in the oceans there, right? When our plastic gets out there, it affects the wildlife. You see all the turtles with plastics bags around their neck, they're ingesting these things in their stomach, they're dying and all sorts of stuff. You know, so we have to be very mindful of the environment and respect the environment. Sumad, you're a big guy in the tourist sector. That's your expertise, right? Wouldn't you want
Yep.
to see eco tourism expand in Trinidad and Tobago, where we could go down to the river swamp and look at the manatees, the West Indian manatees down there, and see them
Hmm.
thriving, and not
Yep.
and we can walk along the beach and not have to see plastic bottles and beer bottles and beverage containers and stuff floating around the place there, right? I mean, how does that look? When tourists come to our country and they venturing around and they seeing all this garbage. What is the impression? What are they going to think of
Nobody
us?
can, I face that problem day in, day out in Tobago where I director of tourism. And, especially now, like turtle season open this week, right? On Monday. Turtle
Yeah,
watching in Mount Irvin area. And also after Mount Irvin, there's beach just before, but it's called Turtle Beach, exactly the name for it. And you see these 500 pounds turtles coming there, laying their eggs, people sitting on the back of turtles, taking out photos, and these turtles are so sensitive to life. It's a whole education process. And people drive on the beach, disturb the turtle. It's a humongous problem, and I try to
right.
involve the ministries and so on with these things, schools, communities, and stakeholders in the industry, and let them educate the communities and so on, so that it becomes a community-driven process and activity. So yes,
So, but also imagine one of those turtles swimming back out to the ocean and they see a plastic bag looking like a jellyfish,
yep,
and they take a
yep,
bite of it and they start eating it because the turtle, right,
correct.
mistakenly takes this plastic bag for a jellyfish, right? So again, we have to be very. Is that
Ken,
my?
your internet was getting muzzled there a little bit.
Yeah. Let me see. Can you hear me now,
Little muzzled. Let's hear from Marissa a little bit.
Marissa?
What was the day today? What she been doing? What's the latest? And then you could come back in.
All right,
Hi, are you hearing me?
Yes, loud and clear, my dear.
Okay, good. It's a pleasure to meet you. And we have an NPO which is called Community Response Deployment Team (TT). So I just want to tell you who we are. We are action driven community restoration organization, and we are dedicated to rebuilding, restoring, and strengthening communities around Trinidad and Tobago. So, we were founded. I am from Bamboo too. So I also suffered a lot of floods while growing up since a very young child. I've seen it. I've seen what my parents been through. I've seen what my grandparents have been through. And it left a impact and embedded a fire in me that I am going to help communities around Trinidad and Tobago so they don't go through that emotional. There's something emotional that is left in you. It's a sense of trauma, and with that it comes this more trauma. So after the 2022 flood and seeing what my parents have gone through, it gave me this challenge to turn this challenge into a solution and to respond where communities need support the most. So I am actually today, I spend the day coming up and basically just I am doing this flood plan, this flood response plan. So I'm going to be doing it, helping people before a flood, during a flood, and after a flood. My team.
So, Marcel, if I may just interject, you're looking more on the social side of.
So what? Yeah, your mic was messing up a little bit. So yeah, that's yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's good there. But your face, we're not seeing you go. But it's all right. Go ahead.
So
We hearing you.
you don't
We
need to
hearing
see
you. We
my
hearing you.
face.
That's good.
You don't need to see my face, Gary.
Well, we
Because
losing
you
you
hear
now. We
me.
losing you there.
All right. Yeah. No, so what I'm saying,
Very
I
muzzled.
know.
Very low on muzzle. I'm not hearing you clear at all.
Okay, you're
A little bit
focusing
better
more.
there. A little bit better there. Go ahead.
You're focusing more on the social side of it at this time.
No, I am actually we not focus on the social side of it. We are basically going out to communities and letting them know who we are and we are here to help and we have a plan in place. We have been trained first aid, communication,
Mm-hmm.
we have
Mm-hmm.
been trained and we have done community response, emergency response, which is a program called CERT in Trinidad and Tobago. And we have come together and formed this NPO called Community Response Deployment Team. So we are now going into communities and letting them know what we do so that they know they have support from us. So they can call us. When you call a hotline, they sometimes it goes unanswered. But with us, I am driving this. Every call that comes in, it will be answered, and I will be there. My team will be there to help and support.
Fantastic,
So
fantastic, Gary.
at the
How?
moment, I have been um, closely working with Mr. Gary and Ken. Anything they are having in Trinidad, we are now going and meeting the communities, making our faces known so people will now feel a sense of that they can call us and we will be there for them during this time.
And
Fantastic work.
and Marissa,
Fantastic.
if I may add to that, we even had a conversation today where I was talking about the 100-year flood and having someone with a boat. And you suggest that we will have to meet with the Kalpu brothers who have been very, very helpful whenever there are
Yes,
major floods, right?
yes,
And in fact, they were in your community during in 2022
yes,
with their boat.
yes,
So you want to
yes,
give us a little
yes.
synopsis of, with that? What happened there?
They had worked day, night, and they took it up upon themselves, right, to come out and help people. And
Eh,
I don't even think those guys got enough sleep because they helped a lot of people because there was a lot of old people, single parents, kids trapped in their homes. I being one of them, trapped with my mom and dad. I
Hmm.
live 7 houses away from Carney River and we were trapped in here. And we actually thought at a point in time that I looked at my dad and I remember telling him, Dad, I think we're going to have to evacuate. And he looked at me and he started to cry because he was like, I'm looking at him and knowing that this is his blood, sweat, and tears. He's going to lose it. And I am so happy that Mr. Dalton is coming here to fix this problem. And I am going to drive Mr. Dalton's solution until it is implemented in Trinidad and Tobago because to go through this loss is something I will never, ever, ever. It is scarred and embedded in my brains because
Wow.
Marissa,
Mhm.
Marissa, and also, yet you remember when we talk about people with mobility challenges, your dad also had one leg, so he couldn't
He had
barely
one.
walk.
Well,
See,
Ken and Gangai, this is what Dr. Amro was talking for many times on this program, where we
You
need to
see,
identify
the vulnerable people in the communities.
Correct.
identify the vulnerable people. That's part of the job. We also have to identify the resources that we have within that ranger community, like we guy with the boat, the guy with the backhoe. We have to have his number on lists, which I see Marissa is doing pretty much of that, also,
Well,
Um,
Gary, Marissa them said they want to get an ambulance, but I also think they should invest in a small boat, right?
Yeah, I know.
Aluminum
I
boat or
know.
something.
I think she's frozen there a little bit. I don't know if she's frozen, but
no, I'm
oh no,
here.
she is.
I'm
Okay,
here.
okay. So now get in the ambulance, guys. Like Dr. Amro was explaining last night, right? Getting the ambulance is one thing, but getting the people trained, and
mhm.
then you have to get the certain things, the legal aspect of things, also legislated, where there has to be an MOU with the government that
Yes, yes,
this is authorized, and the MT program is not a 1, 2, 3 thing,
that's absolutely correct, Gary. There's a lot, what you call rigmarole to get
I
something
mean,
in.
here in the States, you always have to go for training and recertification. I mean, but
Hmm.
it's a whole structure we want to build out together with Dr. Ramrup. But
Yes,
definitely, it's something that we're going to be talking to the government, and most likely, Dr. Ramrup is the one who's piloting this discussion with the government. In that we want to set it up here like how we have it in the U.S. You get into the ambulance. The technicians are trained.
Ambulance,
There's a
ambulance.
communication network set up between the ambulance and the hospital. So by the time you get there, your symptoms are already relayed into the emergency room. When you enter that emergency room, they already know what they're dealing with, and this is how we take it. So the communication system has to be built into the ambulance. The emergency room has to be set up for that kind of communication. So
Well,
there's a few things has to be done. So it's not just that we need, like what we are in Trinidad, a ride with some, what I like to say, a donkey cart with flashing light. We need more than that.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah, you
and
know,
there was one thing that Candace highlighted, and it was about my dad, and that is why I have something called it's a map high risk home, which would basically in every community I am identifying the elderly, the disabled, children, single parents. So I'm doing these forms so I will know how much people lives in that home, who is old, who is young, who is disabled. So
right.
I'm building
That's
an entire system.
because then you know how to allocate and budget your resources. Because again, to pick up someone in a wheelchair in a flood, it will require these two persons, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
even worse, you have to bring them in a boat and stabilize them, and and not have them bounce around and stuff. So these things require a lot of resources, a lot of planning, and that is the right approach, Marissa, where you have a database with all the homes and
correct.
addresses and the people, and the build up profile. Okay, we have a single mom here, right, with three kids, um, you know, or an old person in a wheelchair,
yes,
right, or
yes,
someone who's
because
in on dialysis.
yes, and
But
So,
on that
again, yeah, go ahead.
if I
that is
may
true.
interject, sir, if I may interject here, that information needs
Sumant,
to
your mic is
be
getting chopped up. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. Yeah.
that information needs to be readily available for a wider cross section of the agencies because you may know, and that is excellent work you're doing. You are building a database and you've got people in the
Yeah,
community. But if that information has to be shared, they have to know that, meaning that you alone can only do X amount. But this information, this database you have, has to be with the authorities so they themselves know that they have the first responders on the scene. Hey, at number 77 Canal Street, there are two disabled people living there. They need to know that as well. You know, you may know it and you may do whatever you can to assist them, but It has to be much more broad based than one person, you know?
So,
Yeah,
so
but
Sumar,
it's,
um,
I
you go ahead,
just want to
Marissa.
I just want to interject. I had my grandmother's brother who is
Mm-hmm.
also living in this home, and
Right,
he had an injured hip, and he
right,
could not walk, so he
right.
could have drowned, and I
Yes.
had to make so many calls to get
Yes,
him out,
that's
and
the point I'm making.
I end up calling a neighbor who lives like in a dry lands, and they had to now get him out, and they had to look for some people, look for fire people, get him in, and they came in here, and guess how they pick him up? We had to provide a sheet for them to hold him with a broken hip. So they just came without supplies,
See,
and
this
I
is
was
the thing.
in shock. And
Um,
that's the fire service that
Uh,
came in, and he could have drowned within that hour.
yeah. So you see, the problems you having is goes way beyond what we are capable of doing. That's why I say we have to have these agencies who have to be trained, who have to be equipped. We have to know the addresses of the vulnerable persons in the society so that they will, can be first responders and we can assist as much as we can, but at when the water's coming up and your phone is about to die and you holding on for somebody to respond and to call it this number, that number, it's just a panic mode people are in.
exactly, exactly.
You know, you have to go through a hurricane and you see what's happening in Miami several times.
Yes.
You have you on the line half an hour. Your
Hmm.
phone is dying. You have to make call. You have to contact this one, that one, that. Hey, then you have to contact your nurse. Your registered nurse. What medication should I take? I'm sending him out. All these things have to be factored in.
So, Sumar, and you make a very good point there. In the middle of a disaster, there's a level of panic that's going to set in.
Always,
You're not
always
in a
get
very
always.
relaxed state, so you're not thinking right, and it could create a chaotic situation there, right? Now, again, this is why we need to have the first responders, the community first responders, well
Mm-hmm.
trained, well seasoned, well coordinated, right? And I think Simon mentioned yesterday, that's the guy from the US who is the community expert, right? And he spoke about a national community response team or a
Yes, right.
national community response organization where different communities can share and coordinate, right? For example, if we have a disaster in bamboo number two, God forbid, and there's a resource constraint there because of the bank just broke suddenly, and an entire tidal wave is just rushing into bamboo number three, inundating the entire place. There's no time to run or to react, but just to get to higher ground, right? Now they could send out the SOS call and say, hey, um, the response team in bamboo number one, or the response team in Valsay North, or somewhere in close by areas, we would need 5 boats, life jackets, and
Mm-hmm.
also ropes, etc. A tree just fell down. The thing knocked down a tree, and we had to cut, remove a tree to create access for response teams, right? So all of these things are very, very critical. And this is why we need, and Simon mentioned it yesterday, about setting up a national community response organization or team, right? Where we can now have coordination, because this is not
But
just
listen again, all that is good, but the way how we operate in Trinidad, that is going to be between a rock and a hard place. So what we need here right now, even though and then P&M come and mess it up, understand? So what we need here is Marissa, people like Marissa to build their team, because
correct.
we can't rely on the political structure. There is too much bureaucratic nonsense. So we have to focus on how to say on negotiating on their behalf, campaigning on their behalf, building that team, because I mean, on a daily basis, by the minute, we lose people lives in the country. because of lack of not a proper ambulance service. Simple like that right now.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Simple thing as that. I mean,
Correct.
a
And
person get a heart attack, they don't even know how to treat
well,
it.
well,
They have people in place with big egos and them in
well, Gary,
charge,
I
and
was
they
in my
can't get the job done, and they become a stumbling block. So I want
yeah.
to flush this kind of problems, these hurdles out of the way by supporting teams like Marissa, giving her the help to build, because we can't rely on the current structure, and still, even with that current structure functioning as the best as it can, we still need the additional support from what Marissa is doing.
Certainly. And Gary, I'm glad you mentioned all of that. Let me give you a case, a real story here. I was in Maracas some months ago, and I'm talking to the Coast Guard, right? And these guys were telling me how they lack resources and so forth. And the guy even mentioned there was a medical emergency there with a tourist. The guy had some kidney issue, some kidney problem. They couldn't get an ambulance there. They had to put the man on a in a maxi taxi. They had to blind down a maxi taxi and take him, rush him straight down to Port of Spain General from Maracas,
and
right?
and,
In a
and
maxi taxi.
every second of blood not flowing properly or oxygen not flowing
Yeah,
properly is highly critical. I think Dr. Ram said your brain can be dead in 6 minutes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I mean, in this day and ages, we have to rely on this type of, you know, lack of resources when we should be up to date, first world, right? Tourists are visiting our country, and God forbid something happened in a medical emergency, you got to put a man in a maxi taxi and ride him down to Port of Spain, right?
Yeah, and
So
some people feel
again,
that is okay. That okay with some people. That
yeah,
very okay
um,
with some people.
no, that is ridiculous because we,
All
we we
right.
try to market Maracas as a
So,
tourist destination,
so I want to send a very clear message. They're batting up against the wrong tree here, because this is a different horse they're dealing with. All right, and
and
I'm going to come hard.
if we want to really take the country forward, we have to be serious. We have to put proper plans in place, right? We have to embrace viable designs and not just talk about it. You know, we talk about recycling. When Gary, anybody walk along Maracas Beach by where there's the gazebo and stuff down there, you see people drinking beer bottles, that glass bottles down the beach. Why are we allowing glass bottles to be on the beach? You should not have to have a glass bottle on the beach. Every beverage should be in a plastic container that's recyclable, not glass. Glass is going to fall in that sand, it's going to break, and going to slice somebody's feet, right? It's a disaster waiting to happen. I think that is something we need to enact. We need to look at that policy and ban all glass bottles, especially beer bottles and liquor bottles and stuff. Any glass containers not to be on the beach. You know,
Education, enforcement. We could have the law and it not being enforced, and we don't have the designated resources in place. That will create an issue. Now, I have a team, which is part of ambulance response and fire and ambulance response emergency team that is ready to assist in Trinidad and Tobago as soon as the government accept. But I'm going to connect you with Marissa also. Go ahead, Ken.
yeah. So, look, we're trying to move forward, not backward. We're trying to build our tourism sector, our energy sector, right? We all know what happened in the last 10 years, right? The level of neglect for our infrastructure, roads, flood mitigation and stuff, it was like a laughing matter, right? And I like to use the lighthouse as a classic case where millions of dollars were spent, right, by the last government to mitigate flooding in South Key, and they only made the problem worse, right?
Mhm.
With a simple fix, a simple solution, which is an innovative design they could have implemented there, and that thing would have worked efficiently and draw down and better manage the runoff from that sulky area. And it wouldn't have that amount of flood water. The pumps would have kicked in and draw it down. But again, we have to get serious and put our best foot forward, right? Look at viable solutions. I posted that model of a 100-year storm in the Caribbean River Basin, and we saw firsthand the devastation that could happen to communities that are bounding or along the Canyon River from um, El Carmen all the way down to Bamboo Number 3 on and even Bamboo Number 1, right? In addition to all of that, flooding is affecting farmers. We spoke about here, Ved and I spoke on Sumad. We talk about the food import bill. Sumad, correct me if I'm right, if I'm wrong. 94 or 95% of our food is being imported.
Yes, $7.4 billion.
7.4 billion. I didn't hear that probably 7.4 billion.
Yep, correct.
7.4
$7.4 billion
billion. And we said we would like to see that drop by what? $1 billion next year or this year?
this year. But a year's coming up next month.
But we have to get serious and adopt and implement climate resilient designs to protect these food baskets, right? A lot of farmers in Sandy Grande, I spoke to the farmers representatives there
Houses
who
around the foot.
represent close to about 100 plus farmers, and they are
And
suffering from
look
flooding.
at this for a second. 1 second, guys. Look at this.
Get ready. I'm a king, but I pop, I'm a saint. They call me a bad man, that's a fucking good thing. Mama said swing back when another man swings, so I made my mama proud and they made the heads ring. Father, forgive me, I can't forgive them. You know my history, know what I did then, and what I do now, a whole lot worse. Heavy is the head, it's a blessing and a curse.
Pessoal, o vídeo de agora é recolhendo só as bolas, ó. Dá uma olhada na quantidade. Ó. Uma,
That is
duas,
very excellent.
3. Diego, o que é feito com essas bolas? Pessoal, geralmente as bolas elas não são muito boa qualidade, mas ainda dá para dar um chute, ó. Dá para uma criança ou outra brincar. Então ela fica aqui disponível para doação. Me perdi na conta, mas acho que foi 5. Ó, 6, 7. Deixa eu ver se tem mais.
अगर यह मशीन हमारे भारत में आ जाए तो इससे हमारे यहाँ की नदियों का पानी एकदम दूध की तरह साफ हो जाएगा। दरअसल इस मशीन का इस्तेमाल जापान के लोग करते हैं, जो नदी से सारे कचरे को इकट्ठा कर लेती हैं और किनारे पर लाकर छोड़ देती है, जिस वजह से जापान की नदियों का पानी कांच की तरह साफ हो जाता है और किनारे पर पड़े कचरे को ट्रक में लोड करके फैक्ट्री में भेज दिया जाता है, जिससे इस कचरे को फैक्ट्री में रिसाइकल कर लिया जाता है और रिसाइकल किए हुए कचरे का इस्तेमाल कई तरह के प्रोडक्ट को बनाने में होता है।
Go ahead, gentlemen. Maybe Rajan want to jump in there for a little bit.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you. I hear you guys. First of all, let me apologize. The farmer that we had carded for this evening, unfortunately, is still out in the field cutting lettuce. He got an order well, he had an order for 500 heads of lettuce, and then by this evening they called him and tell him double the order. So unfortunately, he's unable to make it, but we can probably reschedule him for another time.
Yes.
Now I hear the passion in your guys' voice, and you guys, and just to let you know, the community response deployment team, our team, is dedicated to fixing what we can. We were speaking about areas that we can't fix, that we have no control over. Anytime you're speaking about government, I don't want to get involved in that because they just have no will, and they will always give you the excuses, and nothing happens. If you try to get anything done with government, it will take you 5-6 years before you even have a plan for a project, and by then they're out of government and nothing happens. We've seen that,
And we don't have the luxury of time.
Correct. So what is happening is the community response team here. Our plan is to go into the communities that are vulnerable to flooding throughout the country. We're doing the first proof of concept right here in bamboo number 2. Yes, all right, bamboo number 2. Right, in bamboo number 2, with setting up a team here that can be first responders in case of an emergency. Um, from here, we are going to other communities, and we are going to do the same. We are looking to find a team of people that are, and we've already had that in Sumaria Trace where we walked the other day, a team of people that are willing to volunteer their services, that we will be able to train. And our plan is really to go in there, train these guys in the CERT training, so they will have a level of training that they can respond in case of an emergency. So, with basic CPR, with some equipment that they may be able to do rescue of people that are in need of rescue, and to perhaps in a small way try to mitigate the flooding without risking their own lives. That so that will give us a coordinated response throughout the communities that are usually inundated by floods in Trinidad. That is going to be coordinated by this group here. We are going to continually touch base with these people, and as we were speaking, we were listening to Simon yesterday. He was suggesting continuous and additional training, and we will engage the services of Dr. Ramu in doing so. And we can do that at this level without any government assistance or intervention. We can do that on our own, and that's the plan. The plan is really to do that on our own with the help from, because we're going to need finances, so perhaps financial resources or other resources from you guys across there or wherever else we may be able to come up with it, so as to equip ourselves and our teams out there, because we don't need to have a fancy boat. Inflatable dinghies can be placed in the vulnerable communities in a place where they can be easily accessed, and people trained to move them around in the water to remove people from their homes. I've done this before. I personally have not experienced the kind of flooding that we're speaking about here. Thank God for that. But I have seen it firsthand. I've been in it over many years of working with the UNC since before 1995, before they were even the UNC. And in the constituency of St. Augustine particularly, I've rescued people from on top the wardrobe in their houses because there was so much water. People off their roof taking supplies to people who didn't want to leave their homes for fear that someone will invade their home and steal what they have. So we've been taking supplies to these people on a 2-3 day period. I've had experience in setting up shelters with beds and stoves and feeding people for like a week or more before they're able to return to their homes. So we do have a level of experience, and I mean, I really feel for the people that experience this kind of thing, because I mean, what Marissa was describing was her personal experience, and I remember in somewhere in the 90s, I think it was 1998 or 99, there was a huge flood in St. Helena before the works were done to build up the levees there. And I remember standing there and seeing the river flowing through a person's front door and out their back door at a hell of a rate. And I'm like, wow, I really can't understand how someone would feel to see all their belongings just washing down the river. So there is a need, and this organization can help to close the gap in that need. We are not able to fill the need, but we are looking forward to working with Ken when he gets here to trying to alleviate some of the flooding. We are discussing a plan to try to get, as you guys were saying, some kind of recycling done so that some of the trash does not reach the water courses. It will involve the training of a new mindset And I'm proposing that we do that from primary school. So it means going into the schools, educating the children, and teaching them how to recycle and what to recycle and what to reuse, so that they now become part of it. And as they grow, they will grow with it. Also, they will go home and they will influence their parents, because if their mother or father is going to throw the bottle in the garbage, they will say, no, mommy, daddy, put it in the recycling bin, or put it in his bag. We're going to take it out to the recycling area. So that way, I believe we can reach almost every citizen, or the ones that actually care about the country. There are those that don't care and will tell you, I don't care. And they will throw the things. We still have people throwing stuff out their windows while they're driving down the road. I mean, that is disgusting to me. Because I was always taught, my parents taught me to keep it in your car till they reach home and then throw it away. So, I mean, at times there are a bunch of plastic bottles rolling around on the floor in my car. Obviously, not by the driver's side, because I don't want to get under the brakes. But yeah, until I reach to put when I go to put fuel in my car, I will empty my car, all my garbage into the garbage of the gas station. So it's a matter of training, and a good PR and training program is what's going to be needed. That we can engage some resources from the government and doing, because we have to go into schools and stuff. It will mean engaging the Ministry of Education in doing these programs. It will also engage, I guess, other ministries. Um, but there's also we're also working on possibly a plan to actually recycle the garbage ourselves, the plastic at least, beginning with plastic. There are plans for others, even organic, but those are those are actually lofty goals that are down the line. But for the time being, if we can start with one thing, it's how we approach it.
Excellent,
So, guys, have any
excellent.
questions?
Well, you know, I don't know if you know the name Wayne Heisinger. He's a guy who came up with this philosophy, turning trash into cash. Today he's a multi-billionaire. He had started with a set of garbage truck collecting garbage. He saw that need, that he's doing two things. He's collecting the garbage, he's earning income from that, and he's converting that garbage into usable products to generating cash. That's how
Yes,
he became a multi-billionaire. You may have known him. He's from Florida. He has Wayne Heisen. He has built a business
Sumant, your
school.
mic, your mic, your mic. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
He has built a school at the university, Nova University, the Heisinger Business School, as a payback to the community and so on. So these things, there is money in, treating with trash, you know.
yes,
So not only plastic, but you can evolve and take it down the road to tires and all other waste, cans and bottles and what have you.
yes. We actually, I've done some research in that, and I have the information that's required
Great.
to do the tires, bring it back to possibly even a liquid, a black liquid
Bitumen
to be used
sort
as
of
a
sort of
sealant
sort,
in
sort
roads
of
or
bitumen, but the
fuels.
most important thing in tires, I don't know if you're aware of that, is the steel on
Yes.
the walls of the tires on either
But there
side.
is there is a machine that actually rips the
Yes,
tires apart
converts it,
and magnetically
and
removes steel.
a good friend of mine can give you some more information. His name is Vede. Gary, Vede is very familiar. In fact, we discussed that project when I was down here in Trinidad. So he was, very active in that field as well.
But Suman, so listen, you are there now, okay? So link up with these guys during the day, and see what you guys can get done.
Yep,
Yes,
we have.
why not? We can, when you're down here, we can
Yeah,
probably
Yeah,
make
but
a
before
turn.
Ken
yeah.
reach, link up with Rajan, link up with V, have another guy. I'm gonna send you the number. That Walter Shagwan there. So and they kind of around your same age level. So you know,
What
So
are you trying to say, Gary?
what I'm
What is
saying to me,
it?
they'll be part of the club then. You know,
That's what I want, man.
the understanding, the level of intelligence and experience.
Good save, good save,
Like for Rajan that has,
good save.
can really be combined, and that's what I'm looking at. The wealth of experience.
Remember, I was a teacher when you were in standard two, huh? So
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said these guys are close to your age.
yeah,
You can
no,
relate now.
but
And
well,
you know the history. You know the history better than us. Then what I'm saying, the younger guy.
very soon she's going to so you guys can really meet as close as possible. Yeah. Anyway, I will be willing to be part of it. I
Yeah,
Yeah,
think.
so so
no
link up with
worries.
Rajan and have a couple other guys.
Feel free to share my
That I
number.
want you guys to link up with. So
Yeah,
that
certainly.
while during the day you guys can get something sorted out.
Yes.
Look
Why
forward to
not?
it.
So Rajan,
Over the
anything
next.
else you want to add? Do you want to tell us about the program? What I want to see you guys do is kind of like how you in Bamboo. They lock it down. We expanding to Central British Shoguners. We're getting the collaboration. The MP he's looking forward. He appreciates the help. So definitely on the 12th now is the next day. I got the date mixed up. The other
That's right.
day.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
realize that. Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
fine. We should be on your
looking
details.
at getting used to American way of the date, and then looking back at Trinidad, it's kind of something you get a little
Yes,
mixed
yes.
up. So
We put the papers. Yes, you guys put the money
right,
first.
right. So
Mhm.
but definitely listen. We want to keep pressing forward. No time to waste. Every opportunity that to contact somebody, add somebody to the team. In fact, I already have a team that's gonna making way for you guys for my arrow. And there's some other areas, so with Maruga and every other thing too. So I reach out to the MP on their behalf.
Yeah, well, Nicholas Morris is very cooperative. I
Yes.
did training.
So
I did training in his constituency for him before the
who
election.
is that? Which one?
Nicholas Morris.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So he knows quite a bit. He doesn't. Nicholas is so buckled down with the amount of things he's doing. So we want to make things a little bit easier on him. And I messaged the MP for Michelle also in reference to you guys.
Thank you. Yeah,
And so, but I have some other people I want you guys to meet down in Marrow. So we'll talk more about that.
sure.
But definitely, I want you to cover all bases. And like I said, this channel, you guys out in the field, and you say, Gary, send me a link. In 2, 3 minutes, you hang a link. Something's going on, and you want me to send you a link. We're going live. Because I carry my stuff with me wherever I'm at, so I'm ready to upload you into action, and where you can bring something live and direct. So we have quite a bit to talk. So Suman and Ken, go ahead.
Yes, can.
Yeah.
Well, Gary, we are planning some stuff when can get done here. So
I lost your mic again. Somehow I don't know how you're
Somebody,
adjusting this.
somebody check the mic.
Yeah, somehow how you moving the mic losing.
Yeah. Somebody there?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
But
there. Okay, much better,
Yeah.
much better.
let me just ask Marissa a question. Marissa, you guys were cleaning up bamboo number 2 Sunday. How many bags of garbage you were able to pick up? Plastics and bottles and stuff there eh, around the school.
It's not bags, it's like truckloads.
Yeah.
There's a
Oh
lot.
my
There's
God.
maybe about 2 dump truck, and I would say that's maybe about 20 bags of garbage since our cleanup in Bamboo.
Dump truck is like,
That's a school.
No, that's Sunday. I would say we had 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe about 5 to 6 big garbage bags.
With just bottles and plastics.
Yeah.
And usually that will be washed down into the drains and end up in the Caroni River.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Yep.
So yeah, definitely we want to prevent that, and also like Ken and we have to keep reiterating about when it is silting the river, that this stuff does not end up back in the river. We want to prevent that. Definitely we want to prevent that stuff from getting back in the river. I think Rajan moved to another location. Somewhere right there.
yeah, it is.
Yes, he's right here
And on my laptop.
Yeah. So
on his laptop.
we have
Okay.
to look at it from a holistic perspective, right? There are many moving parts
And a
from the
lot
from
of
the from the
moving
resiliency to the
moving
community.
agencies.
Yeah.
A lot of moving agencies to Gary. A lot
Yeah.
of moving ministries and the various departments, that drainage and rural development and agriculture and so on. So
Definitely,
there's
definitely.
a number of coordinating agencies who needs to come on board if they're serious about flooding and flood mitigation and agriculture, so
Be-
cleanup and what have
because
you.
because when a drop of water falls on your roof and you try to now track that water, that drop of water, and look at the journey it takes, the course, right, to get back out to the ocean. And if we track that entire course and look at some of the obstacles on what is going to encounter, garbage, organics, you know, um, it is interesting. So there's a lot of moving parts here
Yeah, and
that
not
we have to
only
look
that,
at.
if I may add to that, Ken, recently, I should say over the past 40 to 50 years, a lot of bigger houses have been built, a lot more
Correct.
area under galvanized,
Correct.
a lot of more concrete yards and driveways and what have you. Before, there's a lot of sand, so the percolation of water was easier around your house. It was all like a yard or something like that without any concrete or oil sands. The water percolated. Now everybody has like spouting and there's guttering and what have you, and the floor is just strictly out from my house area into somebody else or some drain or something like that. So that
Uh,
is increasing the water runoff, the speed, the velocity of water, the drains, and what have you. Not to mention the garbage as well.
and the sad thing about it is that, we don't store or route our water, right? We just do direct discharge.
Mm-hmm.
And as you just mentioned, there's a lot of hardscape. People are casting their yards. There are a lot of bigger roofs, bigger houses. Not a lot of green space. Not a lot of green space. Pretty soon we wouldn't have any green space,
And
right?
the law in Florida is must have 2/3, 1/3 must be a house, and 2/3 must be green spaces for every
Correct, correct.
lot of land. So.
Right. And this is very, very important because it's going to generate more runoff if people continue to expand and use more hardscape, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, the infrastructure or the drains in front of the house is not being upgraded to address that volume, right? And this is why we have problems, right, with flooding, with localized flooding. Then you have to encounter the riverine flooding, you know. So we have to battle this thing in different fronts. You know, there's
Right.
lack of regulation also when it comes to building. Everybody just want to build a big house, cast all the
Mm-hmm.
yard right around the house, and there's hardly any green space. Wasa said, okay, you can't store the water, that water belongs to us. So what will happen? We do direct discharge via our rain gutters and stuff straight into the drain, right? I think if every home were to store 2,000 gallons, right, it would make a big impact. Or route your rain gutter straight into 2,000-gallon tanks, and then use that water, to flush your toilets and to wash down around your house, etc. Right,
Yeah.
and that would also alleviate the load, right, and reduce the load capacity for Wasa. You know, so we have to think from a more feasible, sustainable perspective. You know, and again, we always like to use this word green solutions,
Yep.
right? So yeah, so coming back to climate change,
Yeah, well,
it's
again,
not the
all of these things is. Oh, sorry. All of these things is what Marissa and her team can be doing in educating the community. This is all will fall under their jurisdiction,
yeah.
and they can play a major role in that. So they have a multifaceted curriculum, basically, the way I see it. And because I mean, the help is so drastically needed that we can't wait one more second. So
No, no, absolutely, absolutely.
as much resources as we could add to them, and I'm trying to connect them with as much people so as possible. And I just want to keep here building the team because I have no patience and tolerance for waiting when people is in desperate need of help. There's no such thing as wait. If
Correct.
you know,
Correct.
Correct.
like I told the government when people they were lock up people outside the country and they were hanging in limbo there. I said the man hanging off a cliff with his last finger and you're gonna tell him hold on. So that
Yeah,
is
Yeah.
yeah.
totally that is not going to happen with me. So let's see how best we can help this team while we are negotiating with the government and trying to get the legislative things done and make all the recommendation. We have to help the team build
Yes.
That's
and
right.
make as much effort in getting this team to
Correct.
build and while we and I mean even with the local barbecue or whatever they have to do on a weekend, we all have to get all of this going. I mean, whether it's help from inside outside the country. That's why I brought Simon in here to link them with that because I was very it was the identical team I've been looking for a very long
Yes.
time.
Excellent. Yes.
And I mean, it was nice to find them, and this is why I'm pushing everything that they get enough support. Go ahead, guys.
Go
Um,
ahead, Reza.
if I may ask Marissa a question, please. Marissa, have you tried to link up with the Ministry of Education to get some sort of sensitization uh,
Right. Yeah, so
embodied in the school curriculum, or like sending or yourself going to the various schools from time to time to do little sessions with the class, because I'll tell you what, it's like pulling teeth to get the Ministry of Education to include something in the curriculum. I know I went through that for like 15 years and I couldn't get them to put tourism as a subject, right?
Right.
In Tobago at least, because
I
that's
would
becoming,
suggest they work with the local community there, whoever they're in contact, because
right,
they're
or not,
already well known there. So
it,
focus on that. Because getting a conversation with even with our current minister of education, we can't even get a hold of him.
and not
Correct.
only that, really, better choice or better option might be to go to the PTA, Parent Teaching Association.
That is a better approach.
Huh?
That is a better approach, and that is an approach that we can use
Yes,
because
because there are
ministers,
people from the community, right?
yes, correct.
And their
Going to a
students, their
minister is
children go to there. So
if you
it's
can
easy to get them at an outreach and an awareness schedule.
yeah. When you start to speak to a minister and they understand
Oh,
that your
forget
system is
it.
doing something that supports you, that is
Yep.
correct
I
because
knew I
it's
went
easier
through that
for us.
whole thing and I still couldn't get there after 15 years.
Correct. So
So,
like I said before, government is out of this equation as far as I am concerned. I don't know about
absolutely.
anybody else,
Yeah,
but as far as I am concerned, if you want action and you need it to be done right away, you do it yourself. Waiting on the
absolutely.
government, we could be here 5 years down the line. It will take you probably 6 months to even get to speak to our minister. And when you go, you can't talk to the minister, you have to talk to his advisor. And then you have
Advisor.
to
Correct.
And the advisor might have his own friends and family in the
Now
associate, and
you
that's
got
what the
it.
problem. And
Now we
the
see the
information
You
problem.
know,
never
the- you know
reaches
the
the
thing. You know the
minister.
thing. So I don't even
It
know why you're
never reaches the
suggesting
minister.
such.
So do what you guys are doing. Let's
Correct.
build the
And that's what we
team.
will do.
All right, and
We will do
the
what is under
greater
what is under our
the
control is what we can operate with. So what we can
right,
control, we can do, and that's what we can do. So
right.
I would prefer if we have to do an education project for recycling or anything like that,
Yes,
that we
all of
approach,
that. Don't hold back and put all of
that,
these things together.
right, that we approach the principals or the PTA directly.
Yes,
Okay, so
Correct,
so
correct.
um, the plan really is that we are going to use this, what we're doing currently in bamboo, number
hmm,
two, as a proof of concept.
right.
So, in terms of cleaning up the environment,
Right. Make
in
it a
terms of
staging ground.
meeting,
Making a staging ground,
correct,
and we having 100% collaboration from the MP of Chaguanas West. So we're running with that too.
right. And we also have the cooperation of the MP for this area as well, Khadija. So, And she's
Well,
somebody that you can actually reach.
you have the right minister under in your corner there.
Correct. And you can actually get on the telephone when you call. At least I
Oh,
can.
that's great.
So, yeah, we'll deal with the ones that we could deal with. Um, and we can begin a community recycling project here as a test bed. Now, anyway, I will discuss this with Ken later on, but in more detail. But we can begin here in Bamboo because we can solicit some funds from some of the businessmen, I believe. Marissa, you know.
Rajan, if I may interject 1 minute, put stick up in there. There are a couple of international agencies. I think you can go get in contact with the Ministry of Planning because there are a number of international agencies that do grants for communities that are involved in green projects, cleaning, this sort of thing. Environmental
And
issues.
Suman, as that is an excellent idea. At what time frame you think we will be able to get conversation with the Ministry of Planning
Because
by the
Correct.
next
no,
election?
no, no. What I'm
Because
saying is that they are all. Sometimes they are advertised in the newspaper. For
Yeah, yeah.
example,
Well,
you say
anyway, you like I said, you are down there now, so
but
link up with
well,
Rajan.
Sumant, I don't know if you are aware, but in Trinidad and Tobago, we have something called the Green Fund.
yes, I'm aware, fully aware of that.
There's over 5 to 700 million dollars
Billion sitting on
sitting
that.
in that
Correct.
fund
Yes,
for the last 15 years,
yes.
and nobody has been able to access it. And I'll tell you
Access
why.
that.
Because they've made it so difficult
Yes.
to access any money out of there that nobody even bothers. I mean,
Administrative processes
people
involved
probably
into.
try, but doing business in Trinidad and Tobago
So
is
But if we
my
were to
thing.
do an audit
not
on
just
how that money
challenging.
was distributed, there will be some people might have to make a jail, right? But anyway,
Nobody making no deal.
yeah.
We
So
don't need
let's work with what we can, and somewhere down the line, if we are able to
So what we're going to do is
access these things, we
Yeah,
like Suman is there,
not
we're
he
going to
knows
approach,
all about these things, so
we're
you
going
not
to
guys
approach
can.
people in the community here
not
to
through the
perhaps fund some
government.
of the things that we can then place in the schools and we can place at strategic locations. Now, there's
Yes.
one road in and out of here. We will seek to find an area where we can place the bin that will collect the garbage. So people driving out of the community can take their the plastics with them and throw it in the bin. Other than
Mhm.
that, we can arrange to have someone go around house to house and collect the garbage. Because I'll tell you what happens with the bins. This has been my experience, is that people take their regular garbage and throw it in the bin. And that
Yeah.
creates a very
Yes.
unsanitary,
Yes. Correct.
ridiculous situation. So as the education program progresses, we are going to do some of these things. But in the interim, we may have to collect it on our own. I do have a plan for approaching the houses to do this. And it worked in Trinity in a test a program that we did a couple of years ago.
Nice. Nice.
I was recycling glass bottles.
Hmm.
This is plastic, same principle. So we're gonna kind of duplicate that process and see how that works in Bamboo. I know the mentality of the people here might be different to those in Trinity, but we will adjust to the mentality accordingly as we go forward. Yeah. So the idea is really and truly education first. Eventually, we're going to start guilty people into doing the thing because you have to tell them that they're creating their own problems if they're throwing the garbage in the river. And I mean, this is something that has become the norm in Trinidad and Tobago. When the river in Naparima flooded a couple of years ago and flooded out the whole housing complex, this was in 2010, I believe. I was president of the Rotary Club at the time. So like, yeah, 2011, 2010 and 2011. It's because people were dumping fridge and stove and thing in the river. And I mean, the river is so wide that it created a little island in the middle of the river. So the river running on both sides. This woman went to build a house in the middle of the island. I was walking across the house on a plank. And then when the river come down and wash her house away, she went on TV and cried. And government gave her a house. So these are the kind of things that you have to face. And I mean, educating communities that go through your stove in the river, because the government has a pretty good, the corporations have a pretty good collection. They have a system for collection of garbage and a system for collection of other disposables. So when you there 3 days a week or 2 days a week, the open tray truck will pass, and they'll pick up cuttings and fridge and stove and any other kind of large garbage like that. And then 2 to 3 days, you have organic household garbage being picked up. People just have to stick with the schedule, and if they do,
Yes,
everything will be fine. So
that's correct.
again, it's education and enforcement, because there are fines that can be meted out to these people, but nobody does it. You know, they would cut the trees and throw it halfway in the road, block the road, and nobody does anything. Nobody comes to them and give them a citation, send them a ticket, tell them they have to pay $1,000, otherwise you come and, take the house or whatever the case may be. So those are things that can be done by us, and those are things that we are willing to do. What we are going to do in the coming weeks is to put on paper this plan so that we can then have it consolidated and then duplicated in any community across the country.
Sounds good.
That's the
Excellent.
idea. Yeah. If
Excellent
you guys have
idea.
any questions or any
That's
contribution.
music to my ears. I love what I'm hearing. You come
But
like you're
Definitely,
singing a
definitely.
Kishore Kumar there.
Ra-
I could do that too,
Rajan, Rajan, I want to, if you go on the EU website, European Union
Sumat,
website,
your
Sumat, check
mic,
your
your
mic.
mic, your mic, please. You got to do something with his mic, Sumat.
I say if you go into the EU website, European Union website,
Sumat, to try taking yourself off camera, maybe it would help with the data. All right? And just use the mic. Because
I'm
I think you
aware
need to
of the
adjust your distance.
Sumar. Just
Good.
just so you know, I'm aware of the options under the EU
right?
for sustainable and renewable energy projects in this part of the world. They're doing a lot of work in Dominica,
Yes,
in St. Lucia at this point in time. They've given them a
right.
lot of money to put in
Grants,
renewable energy projects.
yes.
Yeah.
So education, green projects, community projects, environmental projects, and so on.
Yes. Yes.
There's right?
In
So,
addition, in addition to the EU, the UKEF,
yeah.
The United Kingdom
CEDA,
has um,
Canadian International Development Agency, CEDA, as well.
yeah, there are a bunch of
CEDA.
agencies that are willing to fund. Yeah,
Yeah.
even the government of Norway have programs that they are willing to fund as grants, projects like ours, and all of these things are possibilities that we can access in the future. Step by step, our first step is proof of concept. Our second step is to consolidate the model. The third step is to replicate that model in different areas throughout the country. And the fourth step, which can probably run alongside the second or third step, is to generate income. Now,
If I may add, another step is look at the social impact, and that is what these agencies look at. What is the social impact of your action?
those will come through the analytics of the program as we go along. We
Correct.
will build a database of each of the communities that we will be operating in, because it's not difficult, as you guys were talking earlier about the data, about how many people live in a house, how many of them are old, how many infirm. Every elections, before the elections, this survey is done by every party. That information was available as early as the second week in April last year.
Yes, I'm aware of
The
that.
parties have the information. Transferring it to our own database is what we will need to do. So, alongside the physical projects, we will be building a database of the communities that we are operating in, so that at any given point in time, we are able to say how many people actually need to be taken out by a boat, how many people need, we need to have wheelchair access for them. That is doable. But
Also,
again,
we need to
we can hire
know
people to do.
what resources are within the community to assist us in that time.
Right,
Just like the guy with the gold, the guy who's a carpenter, the guy who's an electrician, the guy who's a plumber, the guy with the tractor. We want to know that and that pinpointed too.
right, and that is actually again easily accessible through the people who are on the ground, through the party as such. I mean, if you have to use the UNC party for something, they can be used for that. Those information, at least I can tell you, in the community, in the constituencies that I am involved in, or I was involved in, St. Augustine and Tunapuna, we have all that information documented and data stored. So at a moment's notice, we can pull that out and put a plan in place.
Well, you're the right jurisdiction, and you have the Minister of Local Government and also the Minister of Homeland Security at your access physically,
Homeland Security never waste
right?
of time, but Minister of Local Government, yes.
All right. Yes. Well, Khadija, she knows the terrain like the back of her hand, and she
Correct.
knows what is needed. She know every area. She know everything.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of giving her the resources to move with her.
Now, the other thing, I mean, something else that we can do, and I mean, we could always speak about this later on, is developing a database for employment. Because there are many unemployed people in all of these communities, and we could find their skills, build a skills bank,
Well, this is
and then,
what I
of
was
course,
suggesting when I was working with another constituency during the
Gary,
election time when you have that when you're making that voter list.
Gary, Gary,
You create a
Gary.
spreadsheet, and in that
yeah,
spreadsheet, in fact, I already had created the spreadsheet because I took the election link and transferred it in a spreadsheet. Right? You make
Gary,
notes.
hmm
Need job, mechanic needs, whatever it is. You
yeah,
making notes along the voter list, exactly a little notation of that person. So during that campaign walkabout, now you go back and you could look back and know what you have. But being that now, so let's put it into a spreadsheet and we make that list. You just access the same voter list, making it easy, the
right.
phone number and everything. That's like what you're
no,
doing there.
no,
You on track, Rajan. You're the master of this thing, man.
Well, I've
no.
done this before in 2000 and
Eight,
2001 when yes,
2008. If
St. Augustine,
if I may
we did that.
suggest
We
something,
created an employment database, and we tried to place people because there are a lot of factories and so on between Kirap and Piako, and we went to them and we said to them, listen, we have a database. If you guys need employment, anybody, send the information to us, and we will try to find and vet the candidates and send them to you. And we did do that to an extent. It was working, but then of course government change and whole thing matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we have we have the know-how, we have the template, we could do it.
excellent.
These are things I know how to do.
So definitely, Sumat, you have some work to do. Link up with
Yes,
Rajan.
yeah.
Definitely.
Always. I will work with anybody. I'm easy like that.
I need to combine the intelligence and experience with you and him, that we can really build this thing. Definitely we want to get moving.
And we are actually the community response and deployment team, TT, is on the ground, and we are actually working. We are doing. We're not just a talk shop. We're doing the work.
Nice,
Marissa
nice.
is out here. A lot of her team is out there every day.
Yeah, take a look at this for a minute.
You are my symphony, by your side, we're unity. You are my energy, my guiding light, my unity.
So Rajan and Marissa, you guys can expand on that a little bit for us.
I'll let Marissa take that because she was the one that was active out there on the ground. I wasn't even there. Marissa.
Yeah. Okay, that's a woman in the next bamboo, and her house, after living in it for 70 years, was burnt to the ground. And we went across there and we helped her. And she was explaining to us that on that day, she was telling us that TNT came and they could not rerun the electrical line from a house, from the wire to another house, and give her back electricity in the next house because there was a tree that was blocking the line, and she has to find some help to cut down that tree. And she was in shock that the firemen were so cruel to her. So we told her that we will cut the tree for her. So we cut it for her the next day.
Isn't that a shame to know that TM Tech would do that, and when they should have taken the responsibility to address that issue, between them and the fire service. But I want to thank you guys for that. So go ahead, Marissa.
Yeah, so we have been helping her. We have been in contact with the family. We have been trying to reach out to hardwares, um, a lot of people, a lot of citizens to, help her build back her home and help her build back her life. So that's what we've been doing at the moment. So we are reaching out to people for food stuff, household items, and that's what we're doing. And after 70 years, she lost her home. So we intend to continue. Um, Her calls are being unanswered by so many people, but the people that answer her calls is us, this group. And you can
So,
see how much hope that we give to this family.
and that is exactly what we need on the ground. When people in distress, you can't tell them to wait. We need things in place. So I want to
Yeah.
encourage you guys to keep building the team, and I will do everything on my end to assist you.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that because at the moment we are cleaning out in Bamboo too, the entrance and the community center, and we been doing that out of pocket right now. We buy our own cases of water, our own food, everything to clean there. We were looking for resources to remove the garbage after we clean the entrance, and what happened is when I called to get a truck to clean it, um, this is not Kadisha, not our MP, Kadisha's fault. She was saying that the Tunapuna Corporation, their backhoe was down, and she was saying that their truck, the tail light was broken, so it was inspected to be on the road. But I did not want that garbage there. It wasn't looking good. It would have blown back all out in the street, and I actually had to reach out to the private sector to help me and I remember I was sitting in a meeting for over 4 hours trying to get help from this guy because he is so bitter towards the government. And he said, you know what, Marissa, I'll help you. I'll turn up there at 7 a.m. in the morning, and I will move the garbage for you with my back one, with my truck, because he really he felt it. He felt because I would practically was begging him. And I'm not doing this for me. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm doing this for my country. And if my own government don't want to help me, and as a young person, what kind of example are they setting for us? What about my friends that are studying in engineering and all of these things in the States and in London and wants to get back to Trinidad to make Trinidad a better country, and they're not even helping with something like this? My friends would not want to return here. So what's going to happen to Trinidad and Tobago?
That's a question
Well,
everybody has in
Rajan
our
has
mind.
access to the Minister of Local Government, so yeah, I would encourage you guys to make that contact. There is some challenges that we will talk more about, and we will see how as time goes by, more resources as the funding is available will be allocated. But definitely, I want to structure things in a way that you guys don't have to wait because we really can't wait when there's an urgency and an emergency. So
Yeah,
let's see how best we can do.
but she's been try she's been really really good. But there's so much she alone can do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's just a matter of time of getting the funds flowing back into the system because
Okay.
of the damages done. As you see, that's why they had to make some changes. Is the funds were raided, and it wasn't even trickled down to the people that on the ground doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it was absolved by friends, family, and associate from the previous government. And I hope our government can deal with this at some point. So let's see how best we can work together. Can keep up what you guys are doing. I am
Okay.
very inspired to see and happy to find you guys. And like I said, I want to do everything I can to be a voice and support for you guys. And the channel is always available when you're out in the field there. Anybody covering any part of the cultural events that are taking place in the community right now? Anybody attending any of these things that's going on? The
No, no.
festival.
Who's having we will try to we'll try to send out some of the team members and see if they can do some coverage for you.
We get some
Uh,
footage.
all
We'll
right
get some
then.
footage. We will
Yeah,
get some
yeah.
footage.
All right then. So I think Ken, you have anything to add to this at this point?
No, no. Look, keep doing what you guys are doing. It's an excellent job. Community effort, volunteer effort, and this is what is needed to inspire. And I hope that we build something and we set the gold standard there to inspire other communities around Trinidad and Tobago, right? Because when a disaster really hit, and you have, I mean, a disaster, a real disaster, knowing that we don't have the capacity at the higher level to respond, we within the community are the first responders. So what you guys are doing there is very, very critical, crucial, and we are going to build on this success. I'm
Thank
here
you.
with you guys. We said that we're going to talk to the Kalpu brothers and have a
Yeah.
conversation with them, so that if we need to do a water rescue, we have that resources, right? And we're going to continue to build,
Thank you.
regardless of what. We are going to continue to build. Gary's here, Sumad, Vade, lots of people look at this program. Even the ministers sometimes they look at this program, right? And we will reach out to them, and they will help, right? The UNC government, in fact, the Honorable Prime Minister said she wants to see progress, and you guys are exactly what they wanted the country wants. Just to come
Okay.
together with the communities and move forward.
Well, this is exactly some of the things I had discussed with our prime minister. It's not that she's not interested. Like I said before, she's trying to sort out the financial part of things because the damage was done severely to our treasury and our business investment because of how this government damaged our. You notice all of a sudden that businesses are gravitating to her and her government. People are coming on board,
Uh,
not like before with the previous government. So we're making some headway. It's going to take a little time, but I
But
would say by
yeah,
next year around this time, the cash flow will be much different compared to now because there's so many things to recycle and and to restructure. And when we get that refinery up and going, and it'll take a few years, but that is one of the revenue source, and we have other revenue source. But we definitely want to deal with the flooding so that our farmers can go into mass food production. And I mean, our citizens are not. I mean, there's some very controllable things that can be done by the simple design that Ken has there. We need to control. Based on what I see, a lot of those flooding issues could have been prevented if we had done the right things.
Correct.
So we want
Correct.
to address that. I mean,
Correct.
definitely we want to address it. We want to make sure those drains are clean. And I always encourage Khadija when she makes posts about expanding the holding capacity for many years. I always say if we're making a drain or we clean a drain, let's expand it a little bit, let's deepen it a little bit, let's widen it where we can, let's make a retention pond where we are. So this is the kind of conversation I always had with her. Even we was on social media or directly. But we just want to add to the wing of Khadija, so because she knows what is needed. I mean, and she has the intention of doing it. So
Yeah.
let's see how best we can add and work with collaborate with her. And Marissa, I just want to encourage you to get back to her and let her know you're working with me.
I will. And thank you so much for having us on this program and, giving us this space to talk and get in the crowd. And we will. We're not giving up.
Definitely, if I may just chime in a little bit, I'm very, very impressed with your work.
Thank
And
you.
I know, having been in the community for some time when I lived here, I can tell you sometimes it's a thankless job.
Yeah.
You have to go all out of your way. You make promises and you can't deliver. They look at you as in simple language, as a fool. You're making day out of night trying to help, and you're not getting anywhere because of somebody promising something
Yeah.
and they're not delivering, and then you end up as the cricket ball taking all the lash.
Yep.
So I'm fully aware what they go through as in community work, but keep your head high and just do what you can do as much as you can do. I think you guys are the right track, and I
Thank
hope that eventually you will be the precedent where other communities can follow. So I encourage you to be your best and try to help at all times. Don't be discouraged.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate those words. It it means a lot hearing you saying that to me. Thank you.
All right,
Anytime.
Marissa, I know we kept you quite a bit and you've been out there on the field. So I want to thank you guys for joining and, keep me posted and we will continue doing what we're doing. I'll let you guys know if we're doing anything tomorrow night. I don't know what. Suman will decide what topics we cover and, let's see what's happening in the country.
Yeah,
I've seen
tomorrow.
all the holy
Tomorrow.
festival taking place there. So if anybody's out there,
We'll try and get you some footage.
I want to be able to either go get some footage and go live with you on location.
Tomorrow's
Yes,
And
post cabinet.
We have Chan. She's been playing. She seems as though she's been
Playing
playing
Pagua, right?
Pagua.
Ah,
so Chan, since you're the media lady, I need you to organize yourself and give me a holler when you guys are out there. And whoever you're in contact with, the various locations, for even for 5-10 minutes, just to kind of get some coverage. All
Yeah,
right.
we will.
All
that'd be
right then,
good.
guys. Thank you very much. Good
Excellent.
night. And
Have a good night, guys.
we got Marilyn and Sal and Adira in the chat group here. Thank you guys for joining. Marilyn, I'm still waiting for you to come into the program and talk with us. All right. So thank you very much, guys, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Okay,
Have a good
bye.
night. Take care. Bye bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
right.
खेलने क्यों न जाए तू हो रे रसिया खेलने क्यों न जाए तू हो रे रसिया पूछे है तुम्हें सारी दुनिया कहाँ है बदरी की दुल्हनिया दुल्हनिया धोती पे तेरी मलू गुलाल रंग इतना मजा क्यों आ रहा है धोती पे तेरी मलू गुलाल रंग बता गुलू यला हवा में भांग मिलाया
So we're here in Madingo Road. Of course, we are doing a site visit to see the extent of this project and how far it has reached from since the commencement date. I know a lot of persons have been messaging, calling, and writing on different social media platforms with regards to the completion of this project. I know that the homeowners and the commuters that have to use this roadway and Murga Table and the one back this Madingo Road, I'm here to tell you this morning that the project would be completed. It is earmarked to finish by the second week in April, but the contractor is pushing for the 30th of March. So all being well, we would be finished by the 30th of March. So I'm asking persons to just be a little patient with us. If you would look at what is happening here, we have some drainage to be completed to make sure that when the project is completed, that the road water does not further affect the houses, nor does it interfere back with the roadway. So that is what is being done right now. So if you look at the road, it is basically completed. We just have to do some compacting with some more sand, and of course then the asphalt comes in. So again, I want to thank commuters and the business community that I know things have been affected because we didn't have use of this roadway, and I know the different access route is not in the best condition, but I want to thank the neighbors, the villagers, and even the commuters for their patience, and the taxi association. I know not having this roadway would have put serious impact on person's pocket, but it was necessary. As I said, the government took a stance this time round to put things in place to make sure that we safeguard another home, because everyone knows that I would have lost 2 structures here, well 3 structures actually, and I'm glad that the government took the stand to do this project in such a way that we safeguard a home and that we nearly have the project completed. I want to say thank you to the Minister of Works for making sure that we are still on time, and if you look at what is being done, the structural integrity of this project, I want to thank the Minister of Works and of course the engineers at the Matilda office for making sure that they visit and things are proceeding. So this video is just to give you an update, the status of the project, and as I said, it should be completed by the end of March, but the contractor is saying second week in April, but we are pushing for the end of March.
Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander arrived, denying that some migrants were afraid to register.
I just asked the lady there. I said, were you afraid to come here? She said, no, I want my children to be able to go to school. That's enough for me.
Minister Alexander